Well now, good evening, friends. Andy Taylor here. What happens when Hollywood glamour meets small-town simplicity? When movie stars accustomed to red carpets find themselves stranded in a place where everybody knows your name, but nobody cares about your fame? That's the story I want to tell you tonight, about an unforgettable evening in the summer of 1960 when the stars came to Mayberry, and we all learned something about what really matters in life. Let me take you back to that warm July night. It started on a Thursday afternoon. I was sitting in the courthouse doing paperwork when I heard the sound of a car engine sputtering and coughing outside. I looked out the window and saw a fancy black Cadillac convertible rolling to a stop right in front of the building, steam pouring out from under the hood. The car was one of those expensive models, the kind you don't see much in Mayberry. I walked outside to see if I could help. The driver, a man in his 40s, wearing sunglasses and an expensive suit, was standing there looking at the engine like it was a foreign object. Behind him in the car were 3 other people, all dressed in what I'd call Hollywood style, very fashionable, very polished. Can I help you folks? I asked. The driver looked up at me with clear frustration. Our car broke down, he said, stating the obvious. We're on our way to Charlotte for a film premiere tonight, and we cannot be late. We need this fixed immediately. Is there a mechanic in this town? I nodded toward Wally's service station down the street. Wally's your man, I said. Best mechanic in the county. Let me give him a call. I went back inside and called Wally, who said he'd be right over. While I was on the phone, one of the passengers got out of the car and came into the courthouse. He was a tall man, probably in his mid-30s, with movie star good looks and an air of confidence that filled the room. He was wearing dark sunglasses even though he was indoors. Excuse me, he said, his voice smooth and trained. But do you know who I am? I looked at him for a moment. Can't say that I do, I replied honestly. Should I? He seemed surprised, maybe even a little offended. I'm Richard Sterling, he said, waiting for recognition. The actor. I've been in 12 major motion pictures. My latest film, Desert Command, just broke box office records. I smiled politely. Well, that's real nice, Mr. Sterling. Welcome to Mayberry. I'm Andy Taylor, sheriff here. Now, about your car. Wally should be here shortly to take a look at it. Richard Sterling stared at me like he couldn't quite believe I hadn't heard of him. He slowly took off his sunglasses. You really don't know who I am? He asked again. I shook my head. Sorry, I don't get to the movies much. Been meaning to take my boy Opie to see some pictures, but we've been busy. But I'm sure your very talented Wally showed up about 10 minutes later and looked at the Cadillac. After some inspection, he gave the bad news. Your radiator's cracked, he said. I can fix it, but I'll need to order the part from Raleigh. Won't get here until tomorrow afternoon at the earliest. Tomorrow afternoon? The driver exclaimed. That's impossible. We have a premiere tonight in Charlotte. It's a 3-hour event. Wally shrugged. Sorry, folks. That's the best I can do. There's no way this car is going anywhere tonight. The group stood there in shock. Richard Sterling ran his hand through his hair, clearly agitated. This is a disaster, he said. An absolute disaster. We'll miss the premiere. The press will have a field day, and my reputation will suffer. We need to find another way to Charlotte. Now, I offered what help I could. Well, I said, the bus to Charlotte. doesn't run until tomorrow morning. There's no car rental place in Mayberry, but we've got a nice hotel here, the Mayberry Hotel. Clean rooms, comfortable beds. You folks could stay the night. Get your car fixed tomorrow and be on your way. A hotel? Richard Sterling said, looking around at our small town with obvious disdain. Here? What kind of accommodations could a place like this possibly offer? Now, I'm a patient man, but I was starting to find his attitude a bit tiresome. The accommodations are just fine, Mr. Sterling, I said evenly. We may not have room service or fancy amenities, but the beds are comfortable and the people are kind. Sometimes that's all you need. He looked at his companions, a woman who turned out to be his co-star named Victoria Lane, the driver who was also the film's director named Harold Benson, and a young assistant named Peggy. They all seemed equally dismayed. We don't have much choice, Harold the director finally said. Let's check into this hotel and make the best of it. We'll call the studio and let them know what happened. I walked them over to the Mayberry Hotel, where Mrs. Peterson, the owner, greeted them warmly. She didn't recognize Richard Sterling either, which seemed to frustrate him further, but she got them checked into rooms and promised to make them as comfortable as possible. Word spread through Mayberry pretty quickly that we had Hollywood people in town. By dinner time, there was quite a buzz. Flora down at the diner heard about it from Mrs. Peterson. Floyd the barber heard about it from Flora. Aunt Bee heard about it from Floyd. Before long, half the town knew that a famous actor named Richard Sterling was staying at the hotel. Aunt Bee came home that evening all excited. "Andy," she said, "do you know who's in town?" Richard Sterling, the movie star. He was in that picture I saw last year, the one about the cavalry officer. He's very handsome. I smiled. I met him this afternoon, Aunt Bee. He's just a man whose car broke down. But Aunt Bee was having none of it. Just a man? Andy? He's a movie star. This is so exciting. We should invite him to dinner. Show him some Mayberry hospitality. Before I could respond, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find Richard Sterling standing there, looking somewhat uncomfortable. "Mr. Taylor," he said, "I apologize for disturbing you at home. I was wondering if you might direct me to a decent restaurant, somewhere I could get dinner without being mobbed by locals." "Come on in," I said. "As it happens, we were just sitting down to dinner. You're welcome to join us." Richard hesitated. "I don't want to impose." "You're not imposing," I said. "We've got plenty. Aunt Bee, this is Mr. Sterling. Mr. Sterling, this is my Aunt Bee." Aunt Bee practically glowed. "Oh, Mr. Sterling, it's such an honor. Please, come in, sit down. We're having pot roast, and it's one of my specialties." Richard entered cautiously, as if he wasn't quite sure what he'd gotten himself into. My son Opie came running in from the back room. "Pa, can I stay up late tonight? Tomorrow's Friday, and I don't have school, and I promise I'll do all my chores." "Opie," I said, "we have a guest. This is Mr. Sterling. Mr. Sterling, this is my son, Opie." Opie looked at Richard with innocent curiosity. "Hello, sir," Opie said. "Are you visiting Mayberry?" In a manner of speaking, Richard replied, "My car broke down." "Oh, that's too bad," Opie said. "But Mayberry's a nice place to be stuck. There's lots to do. We have a fishing hole in the park, and sometimes Mr. Tucker does magic tricks at the drugstore." Richard couldn't help but smile a little at Opie's enthusiasm. That sounds quite different from where I'm from, he said. We sat down to dinner, and Aunt Bee served up her pot roast with all the trimmings. Richard took a bite and looked genuinely surprised. "This is excellent," he said. "Really excellent." "Thank you." Aunt Bee beamed. "Why, thank you, Mr. Sterling. I do my best." Over dinner, Richard started to relax a bit. He told us about his latest film, about the premiere he was missing, about his career. But what was interesting was that the more he talked about Hollywood, the more distant and hollow it seemed. He spoke about the constant pressure, the photographers, the gossip columnists, the people who wanted something from him. Opie listened with wide eyes, asking questions. "Do you get to meet cowboys? Are the horses real? Do you do your own stunts?" Richard answered patiently, and I could see him warming to my son's genuine curiosity. After dinner, as Aunt Bee served pie, Richard said something unexpected. "You know, this is the first real home-cooked meal I've had in months. In Hollywood, it's all restaurant food or catered events. I'd forgotten what it's like to just sit at a family table and eat good food with good people." Later that evening, word had gotten around town that Richard Sterling was at my house. A small crowd gathered on the street outside, people hoping to catch a glimpse of the movie star. When Richard saw them through the window, he tensed up. "I should go," he said. "I don't want to cause a scene." "Hold on," I said. "Let me talk to them." I went outside and addressed the crowd. "Folks," I said, "Mr. Sterling is just a visitor here whose car broke down. He's had a long day, and he'd appreciate some privacy. Now, I know you're all excited, but let's remember our Mayberry manners. How about we give him some space tonight? And tomorrow, if he's willing, maybe he can meet some of you properly." The crowd, good-natured as always, agreed and dispersed. I went back inside. "They're gone," I told Richard. "You're safe." He looked at me with something like gratitude. "Thank you, Sheriff. I'm not used to people being so understanding. Most places, they want autographs, photographs. They grab at you. It's exhausting." I nodded. "I imagine it would be. But here in Mayberry, we believe in treating people like people, not like property. Fame doesn't change the fact that you're a human being who deserves respect and space." Richard sat back down. "You know," he said quietly, "I think I'd forgotten that myself. I've been playing the role of Richard Sterling, movie star, for so long that I'm not sure I remember how to just be Richard." The next morning, I went to check on the Hollywood folks at the hotel. They were having breakfast in the small dining room, and they still looked somewhat out of their element. Harold, the director, was on the phone with the studio, explaining the situation. Victoria, the actress, was reading through a script. Peggy, the assistant, was taking notes. Richard was staring out the window at Mayberry's main street, watching people go about their morning routines. I joined them for coffee. "How do you all sleep?" I asked. "Better than expected," Victoria admitted. "It's so quiet here. In Los Angeles, there's always noise, always sirens and traffic. I haven't heard silence like this in years. It's actually quite lovely." Wally called me to say the part for the Cadillac would arrive around 3 in the afternoon, and he could have them on the road by evening. That gave them a full day to spend in Mayberry. Richard turned from the window. "Sheriff Taylor," he said, "what do people do for entertainment in a town like this?" I thought about it. "Well, today's Friday. Tonight there's usually a gathering at the town hall. People play music, tell stories, just enjoy each other's company. You folks are welcome to come if you'd like. It's not Hollywood, but it's genuine. To my surprise, Richard seemed interested. I think I'd like that, he said. If you don't mind us crashing your small town event. You wouldn't be crashing, I said. You'd be joining. That's different. That evening, the town hall was fuller than usual. Word had spread that the Hollywood people might attend, and folks were curious. Floyd had put on his best shirt. Clara had done her hair special. Even Otis, our town drunk, had cleaned up a bit for the occasion. When Richard, Victoria, Harold, and Peggy walked in, there was a moment of excited whispering, but then people settled down and made them feel welcome. Sarah Edwards, who organized these gatherings, approached them warmly. We're so glad you could join us, she said. We're just simple folks who like to share talents and have a good time. Please make yourselves comfortable. The evening started with Jim Lindsay playing guitar and singing some folk songs. Then Eleanor Thompson recited a poem she'd written about autumn in North Carolina. Young Tommy Parker did some card tricks that weren't very good, but were endearing in their earnestness. People laughed and applauded, not because the performances were professional, but because they appreciated the effort and the heart behind them. I watched Richard Sterling watching all of this, and I could see something changing in his face. He was smiling, really smiling, not the polished smile of a publicity photo, but a genuine expression of enjoyment. After a while, Sarah approached him. Mr. Sterling, she said, would you be willing to share something with us? Perhaps recite something from one of your films? Or just tell us about your work? Richard hesitated, then stood up. Instead of talking about his movies, he did something unexpected. He recited a monologue from Shakespeare's As You Like It, the famous All the World's a Stage speech. He performed it simply, without showmanship, just the words and the meaning behind them. When he finished, the room was silent for a moment and erupted in genuine applause. That was beautiful, Aunt Bee said, wiping her eyes. Just beautiful. Richard seemed moved by their response. Thank you, he said quietly. That's from a play I did in college, before Hollywood, before fame. I'd forgotten how much I loved just performing for the sake of the performance, not for box office numbers or reviews. Victoria stood up next. May I share something too? She asked. She sang a simple lullaby, something her grandmother had taught her as a child. Her voice was lovely, pure, and unaffected, so different from the dramatic roles she usually played on screen. As the evening went on, something remarkable happened. The boundary between the Hollywood visitors and the Mayberry residents dissolved. They were just people sharing talents, stories, and laughter. Harold, the director, talked about why he fell in love with filmmaking as a boy. Peggy, the assistant, sang a duet with Flora from the diner. Richard sat with Floyd and talked about the craft of acting, listening as much as he spoke. At one point, Opie tugged on Richard's sleeve. Mr. Sterling, he said, can you teach me how to talk like they do in the movies? Richard smiled and knelt down to Opie's level. The secret, he said, is to be yourself. The best performances come when you're honest and real, not when you're trying to be someone you're not. Opie thought about that. So I should just be me? Exactly, Richard said. Just be you. That's the most important role you'll ever play. The evening stretched on, filled with music and stories and connection. At one point, Richard pulled me aside. Sheriff Taylor, he said, I want to thank you. For what? I asked. for reminding me what matters, he said. In Hollywood, everything is about image, about competition, about who's on top. I'd forgotten about simple human connection, about community, about people caring for each other just because that's what good people do. You've all treated us like friends, not like celebrities. You've shared your town, your time, your talents with us. That's a rare gift. I smiled. We just treated you like we treat everyone, Mr. Sterling, with respect and kindness. That's not special. That's just right. The next afternoon, Wally finished fixing the Cadillac. The Hollywood folks gathered their things and prepared to leave. A small crowd came to see them off, not to gawk or ask for autographs, but to say friendly goodbyes. Richard shook hands with many people, exchanging genuine words with each. When he got to me, he held my hand a moment longer. "Sheriff Taylor, Andy," he said, "this has been one of the most memorable experiences of my life. I came here seeing Mayberry as a place I was stuck in. I'm leaving seeing it as a place I'm grateful to have found." He turned to address the small crowd. "Thank you all," he said. "You've reminded me why I wanted to be an actor in the first place, to connect with people, to share stories, to be part of something larger than myself. I won't forget Mayberry or the kindness you've shown us." Victoria hugged Aunt Bee. "Your pot roast recipe," she said. "I'm taking it back to Hollywood with me. Maybe I'll even try cooking for once, instead of eating out every night." Harold shook my hand. "You run a good town here, Sheriff. People feel safe and valued. That's rarer than you might think." Peggy, the young assistant, had tears in her eyes. "This was the best day off I've ever had," she said. "Thank you for including us." As they drove away, waving from the Cadillac, Opie tugged on my sleeve. "Pa," he said, "do you think Mr. Sterling will remember us?" "I think he will, Opie. I think last night meant something to him. But more importantly, will you remember what he told you? About being yourself?" Opie nodded. "I'll remember." That's a good lesson. About a month later, I received a package in the mail. It was from Richard Sterling. Inside was a signed photograph, not the glossy publicity kind, but a candid shot of him from the town hall gathering, laughing genuinely with Floyd. The inscription read, "To the people of Mayberry, who reminded me what's real. With gratitude, Richard Sterling." There was also a letter. In it, Richard wrote about how that night had changed his perspective. He'd gone back to Hollywood and started making different choices. He turned down roles that were just about money and spectacle, and started seeking out projects with real meaning and heart. He'd started cooking at home. He'd reconnected with old friends from before he was famous. He'd even started a small theater workshop where young actors could learn the craft without all the Hollywood pressure. The letter ended with these words, "I spent years chasing fame and fortune, thinking that's what would make me happy and fulfilled. But one night in Mayberry, I remembered that the best things in life aren't the accolades or the wealth. They're the connections we make, the kindness we show, the genuine moments we share with others. Your town gave me back something I'd lost, my humanity. For that, I will always be grateful. Please give my best to Opie and tell him I'm working on being myself, just like I advised him." I showed the letter to Aunt Bee, who cried a little. "To think," she said, "that our little town could make such an impact on a big Hollywood star. It just goes to show that kindness and authenticity matter, no matter who you are." Looking back on that summer night, I realized what really happened. It wasn't that we showed Richard Sterling something new. We reminded him of something he'd always known, but had forgotten in the glare of fame and the pressure of Hollywood. We reminded him that beneath the roles we play and the images we project, we're all just people seeking connection, meaning, and belonging. Celebrity, wealth, acclaim, those things can be nice, but they're not what sustains us. What sustains us is being part of a community, contributing our gifts, and being valued not for what we do, but for who we are. Richard Sterling came to Mayberry as a movie star stuck in a small town. He left as a man who'd found something precious, a reminder of his own humanity and the simple joy of genuine human connection. The story of the night the stars came to Mayberry became one we told for years. People would bring it up at gatherings, remembering different moments from that evening. Floyd would talk about discussing acting technique with a real Hollywood star. Flora would mention Victoria's beautiful singing. Opie, as he grew older, would remember Richard's advice about being yourself, and it guided him through many challenges. The lesson for all of us was clear. We're all just people, trying to find our way, trying to connect, trying to matter. Fame and fortune might change your circumstances, but they don't change your fundamental need for authenticity, kindness, and community. Whether you're a Hollywood star or a small-town sheriff, whether you're standing on a red carpet or sitting in a town hall, what matters most is how you treat people and how you let yourself be real. Richard Sterling went on to have a long and distinguished career. But according to the letters we exchanged over the years, he never forgot Mayberry. He said that night recalibrated his compass, helped him navigate Hollywood without losing himself. And every once in a while, when he was between films, he'd drive through our little town, stop by for coffee, and join us at the town hall for an evening of music and stories. He never announced his visits, never made a fuss. He'd just show up, be Richard, not Richard Sterling the movie star, and that was exactly how we liked it. Because in Mayberry, we'd learned something too, that underneath all the glitter and glamour, movie stars are just people. And the best way to treat people, any people, is with respect, kindness, and the understanding that we all share the same basic needs and hopes. Well now, that's the story of the night the stars came to Mayberry, when Hollywood glamour met small-town heart, and we all remembered what really matters in this life. It's not about fame or fortune, or being recognized wherever you go. It's about being genuine, connecting with others, and finding places and people where you can just be yourself. I hope that story spoke to you tonight, friends. Come back and visit again real soon. Until then, this is Andy Taylor saying good night from Mayberry. Remember, whether the whole world knows your name or nobody outside your town does, you matter just as much. Treat yourself and others accordingly. Take care now.